Hey guys, welcome to Productivity Mastermind, and in this episode I'm gonna be sharing my complete productivity framework that I use to stay productive, organized, and in control of my life. And not only that, I'm also gonna be sharing at the end of the presentation, I will share the template that you can use to do exactly the same and follow exactly the same steps to be in control of your life. So without further ado, let's dive in. So my name is Janis and I'm an entrepreneur, content creator, and productivity coach. So I run a little YouTube channel called Time Management and Productivity. Most of the people find me through content on YouTube. So up to this point, I've posted a little over 1,200 videos on YouTube as a platform. And during this time, at the time of the recording this presentation, we have 43,000 subscribers and over 4 million people have viewed our videos. And when I say we, it's because the content is created by team. I only write content, but then all the animations, all the visual assets, sound is added by the team. So it's pretty much team effort. Okay, so but that's where a lot of my time is going into the content production, and it's also one of my kind of main directions or main goals going forward. Okay, so what we will cover today. So today we will cover the whole productivity framework. Like I said, there is not gonna be just part of it. We'll go through all of it. We'll start with a vision. So we start with a big picture. And then we kind of work backwards until we get to the little details and tasks and ideas and everything. But we will cover the vision. Then we're going to follow up with effort goals. I'm going to talk quite a bit about effort goals, which is sort of a concept that I've come up with by myself or developed over the period of the time. Then we're going to look at the weekly structure, which is also a very important component of staying organized and aligning your actions with your goals. Then we look at the time blocking and how we can utilize it, as well as task management that we need to do on a daily basis. So pretty much we're going to cover the big picture and down to the little details. Okay, so what tools we will use? So I have put down the Google tools. This is because I use them by myself. Other than that, there is no specific reason, because obviously you can use whatever you feel most comfortable with. You don't have to use these particular tools, but obviously I just wanted the framework to be accessible to everybody, and everybody can use free Google tools. So they're cross-platform solutions. They're very easy to use and they are also free. But like I said, if you have a notes-taking application or to-do list application, you can still use any other application and the framework will still work fine. Okay, so let's dive in. We've got quite a bit stuff to cover, so I'm gonna try to keep my pace up. I don't want this video to stretch too long because I have to keep your attention. So we're gonna start with a vision, which is the top layer, and it's like overarching ultimate goal. Okay, so vision basics. So what is vision? To me, vision is something that how we imagine the future is going to look like. So it's kind of you're positioning yourself in the future. Now, in terms of the optimal time frame, obviously there's no rule for the optimal time frame, but I would say the year is something that is probably the best. And again, it doesn't mean when I say 1 year, it doesn't mean that I don't have a 3-year vision or 5 or 10-year vision. But I think if something is really far away in the future, then it's not going to really motivate you or drive you, because yes, it might be exciting in a moment to be like, wow, I won this, a supercar or this villa or whatever. But that excitement is going to quickly fade away. And you want something more tangible, something that you can accomplish quicker. And I think 1 year vision is perfect for that. And that's why this whole framework is basically like a 1 year plan to stay organized and to accomplish your goals and your visions. So why do we need it? Well, we need a vision because we need a direction where we're going, and everything else, the whole framework, is gonna be molded around it. So I would say vision part is really, really important to get it right. And this is probably, if you sit down, you're gonna spend most of the time just figuring out your direction and where and how you want to go, because everything else will be put in a place afterwards based on a vision. So it's very, very important step. Okay, so how to create a vision. Now, visions are very diverse, and there is, no one size fits all system, and I see a lot of people are actually struggling with deciding in which direction they want to go, and that is really holding them back to do anything. On an everyday basis, they don't do everything because they don't see that, that future selves. They don't see themselves in the future and what they're going to be doing. But in order to make it simpler, so if you don't, some people have very clear visions. They want to be athletes, musicians, or businessmen, and they know exactly what they want to do. But for those who are struggling, I want to propose a simple solution, and it's a statement and a question that I will offer. First of all, the statement. So people will always want more, and it's natural to want more because it's a growth, right? I've never met a businessman who didn't want to make more money. I never met a father who didn't want to love his family more. I never met a gym person who didn't want to become stronger. So wanting more is a good thing. It's a growth, right? And there's nothing wrong if you want to make more money or save more money. That's good, and everybody should be, striving for it. Everybody should be trying to become more and to do more. And then the question is, how much do you want to accomplish within the next year? Because that's how you can carve out a specific size of your vision where you can say, okay, this is what I want to learn, or this is how much I want to make. And that's gonna clarify, your direction and your vision. And like I said, you don't need to go into, a week-long process of thinking, because it's not like, somebody would have a magic ball and they could say, oh, this is what you should be doing. It's something that you develop, that you become, and it can change with the time. So while it is important to put some thought in it, maybe you're just not sure where you want to go, and that's fine. But as long as you're making progress, that is the most important thing, okay? So if you're not sure about the vision, the statement is, people always want more. It's totally fine. The growth is good. So just ask yourself, how much do you want to accomplish within the next year? Okay, some other kind of tips or tricks for the vision. So I put down some ideas. Again, this is not one size fits all, but just to get you thinking, depending in which category you are. For example, if you're a businessman or businesswoman, your vision could be build a team. You can be more specific. If there are specific roles that you want to fill within your business, then that's a great vision. Develop a product, or maybe create a course. If you're an employee, your vision could be to get a promotion, or save certain amount of money, or start a business. That's also a great journey. If you're a student, you might want to get a certain grades. You can complete the course to improve your knowledge, or you can get a part-time job and again start saving. So these are all the different things that you can put down as your vision, as your guiding star in how you want to improve. Okay, so I wanted to share my vision. And this is how the template looks like. So this is what you're gonna get at the end of the presentation. It's free. Anybody can download it and start using it as soon as they watch throughout the presentation and they know which parts mean what. So I've categorized my vision into the 4 categories. So professional life, personal life, health and fitness, and experiences. And these are like other things. So let's go through one by one. So my professional vision, so this is where most of my focus goes. So number 1, writing a book, or book is a challenge for me. I've never written a book before. I don't know how it's gonna be going. I have some friends who are writers, so hopefully they will support me and guide me through the process. But yeah, I just see it as another opportunity to grow. And like I said, I've been in productivity for a long time, and I've consumed and observed a lot of information, and I just want to put it together in a book. So that's one of my visions for this year. And another one is the content. So post 50 educational videos on my YouTube channel. So the content is my foundation for my business. Everything starts with the content. That's how I connect with the people. And that's how I share my message. So that's pretty much, and it's also one of my priorities this year. Okay, in a personal life, obviously I only have 1 point, so I want to go on holiday with my wife. Obviously we're pretty busy with our professional lives. She's starting her own business. I need to grow my business, but we still want to do things together. So we said, let's go on a nice holiday. Okay, vision for health. So I want to perform at my best, and I want to look and feel my best. So therefore I have a couple of things that I've noted down where I want to pay a certain amount of focus and put certain amount of effort to accomplish these things. So number 1 is cook nutritious meals. So I want to make sure that I feed my body in a right way. And therefore, I look after what I eat, and I try to avoid, a short-term, gratification by eating, not as good food, while, reaping the benefits of, being energized and productive. Lift weights 3 times per week. So fitness is also something that I quite enjoy. And obviously there's additional benefits of just, bulking up and feeling big, but also productivity benefits. It relieves stress and everything else. Respect my sleep is one of my visions as well. I need to make sure that I get enough sleep, and it's very easy to fall behind, and like we all do, it's just very easy to be carried away and just think I gotta do one more thing in the evening, and then you stay up late, and then it affects your next day. So respecting the sleep is a big thing for me this year. Practice journaling and meditation is another one. I enjoy journaling, and I think it's really beneficial for productivity. Okay, the last one. Vision for others, or this is with experiences. So participate in Operation Christmas Child. Now, I recently started to read about Buddhism, and in Buddhism they talk quite a bit about thinking beyond themselves, and I find quite a lot of inspiration in that, and that's why I read it at the end of the last year, the book, and when I was putting together my vision, I was like, I definitely need to include something. So I discussed it with my wife, and we decided to participate in Operation Christmas Child, which is a charity event of making, filling up the shoe boxes and making them into the gifts for children who otherwise wouldn't have a Christmas gift. And then book writing experience. Again, I know for sure that I will hit a big roadblocks on my journey to write my first book. And that's why I want to challenge myself, but in the meantime, I also want to, I put down being curious, I want to be persistent and keep finding the ways around the mental blocks, the confusion, the doubts that I will have. So, and because it's on my, experiences list, I think it's going to help me to push me forward when the things will be, getting tough. So that's pretty much it. That's my whole vision. Okay, vision summary. Everything starts with the vision. Okay, and like I said before, it's very important that you have something in the vision, because everything else will be based on your vision. So we start from the end and then we work backwards. So it's very, very important that you sit down and give it a really good thought. And point number 2 that I mentioned is I will share template with samples. So the template that you'll be downloading at the end of the video, there will be some examples more than what I already shared with different categories. There will be some more samples to kind of get you going. But again, I'm not saying that these are the things that you should aim for, but at least it will give you a starting point, a good starting point. Okay, so section 1 is completed. We are moving on to the next section, which is goals. Okay, goal characteristics. So number 1, less equals more. So when it comes to goals, I think it's really, really important to, it's same like with everything. If you really want to move something forward, of course, if you have 3 projects and you work on 3 projects, let's say every day you have 3 hours and you have 3 projects, you have to spend 1 hour on each project to move it forward. And the progress is going to be slow. But if you say, well, this is actually very important to me, and you put all 3 hours in that one thing, of course, everybody understands that that thing is going to be moving forward much faster. And because it's going to be moving forward, there's going to be more motivation to keep investing your time in it. So less is always more. So I like to look at my goals, and point number 2 is 3 months. So I like to look at my goals from a perspective of, I call it quarterly goals, right? Not just goals, but quarterly goals. And this really helps me to optimize my focus, and it doesn't mean that I don't do anything else a part of that thing, but that one thing is a priority that I need to accomplish. Yeah. And then everything else that comes in, I do after that. But then once the quarter is over, I can reevaluate the situation. Let's say, for example, I didn't accomplish my goal. That's fine, but that checkpoint came in earlier, so you can now reset your goal and make it more achievable to your current situation. So it kind of plays in a couple of things. And number 3 is effort goals. So I will go in more detail about effort goals as well, because I really think that focusing on effort is the key, especially if you're starting something like starting a business or getting into the fitness or something. It's mostly about the effort and not really just chasing a results. So let's dive deeper into the effort goals. Okay, so I've prepared a couple of examples to illustrate, right? So very common thing for entrepreneurs in general is about getting a client. Okay, so a reasonable goal, and usually when we talk about the goals, people think SMART goals, stretch goals. So those are the dominant forces in the internet, right? This is what everybody needs to focus on, right? And it's great. I'm not saying that those goals are not effective or whatever, but I like this concept of effort goals, right? So let me break it down. So let's say somebody has a goal of getting a client, or in a quarter it could be getting 5 clients, right? So that would be one solution. Just set your quarterly goal, make it get 5 clients. That is completely possible, and it's a SMART goal. It's a time bound, it's specific, it's achievable. Everything is there. It seems like everything is there, but it's really hard for the brain to action it, because there is so many things. So I've outlined multiple steps. So if you want to create effort goals, you have to break it down into the steps. So in order for you to get a client, you probably need to meet some people, or at least have interaction with them, which is going to be either online meeting or in-person meeting. Now, before you meet, you're probably going to exchange some emails, because you just don't randomly meet people, right? There is a reason. And before you can get a response from somebody, you need to send a proposal, or you need to start a conversation. right? For example, you may be a freelancer on Upwork or on a Fiverr marketplace. Now, that's how everything starts. Everything starts with the proposal. Somebody has a need and you can fulfill this need, right? And you want to win this client. And everything starts with a proposal. Then some of those people respond, question, like get a quote or something like that. Then there is a meeting, and then some of these people turn into the clients. So the way I like to think about it is when you set effort goals, it's much easier to deal with them rather when you just set SMART goals, right? Because imagine this, you are in the middle of the quarter, you have not signed up any clients, and you wake up in the morning and on your, you look at your goals and you're like, I need to get clients. So your mind is going in all the directions and evaluating, what should I do? How should I do? What's better? I need to research and everything, right? So it's quite confusing. But if you focus on a proposal side, if you only wake up in the morning and you say, I need to send 10 proposals, then that's easy for the brain. There's no confusion. You just wake up and you send out proposals. And if that is your goal, then it's easy to just add those days up. You send 10 one day, 10 another day. By end of the week, you've sent 50 proposals. You're going to get a client, and that's how it works. So another example, how to get a job. A lot of people, set a goals. I want to get a job. But, just wanting a job is not going to deliver that. There is a process that you need to go through. And usually that process starts with sending an application. Some applications will get some interest. You're going to get screening. Some screening is going to get more interest. So you're going to get interview. And eventually you're going to get a job offer. So that is basically, how I look at the goals. And I think it's been proven really effective in my life and when I'm working with the clients to really break the goals down and make them effort goals. So hopefully that gets the message across and explains the concept properly, okay? So how to set goals. Okay, so now once we've decided that, or not decided, but discussed that we have these, options to set effort goals, so how do we actually come up with them? So there's only like one general rule. Each goal that you set must contribute to your vision, because that's why you set the vision in the first place. And that's why I said the vision is at the very top, the very important thing, right? So now you have to set the goals that support that vision, going up. Okay, here are my Q1 goals for this year. So first of all, they're effort goals and they all support my vision. So what do I have? So I wanted to write a book and I wanted to post videos on YouTube. So my quarterly goal is to write 1,000 words per day towards my book vision and post 13 content videos, which is one video per week, towards my content goal. And that's pretty much it. I mean, because I had a clear vision, I didn't have a problem to just break down some quarterly goals. And again, if something happens with those goals in a first quarter, let's say I don't post my videos or I don't write my necessary words, I'm going to be able to reassess the situation. And that's why it's important that you have these stages. That's why the system is broken down into the stages, so that even if something gets in your way, you can identify it and readjust. Maybe sometimes you might need to readjust your goals, or sometimes it's going to be a direction or vision. So I don't know what it's going to be, but the system's purpose of the system is to enable you to identify these things and adjust going forward. So you just don't keep working towards something that is not giving you any benefits. Okay, goal summary. So I like to say this thing because I've been talking about these effort goals, and I like to say results will always follow the effort and not the other way around. Now, I know, that it's popular to just look for the results, and there is nothing wrong. I like results as well. And, within my team, we have a KPIs that we look at and everything. But eventually everything comes down to the effort, For example, I could put on my vision board, or I could put on my my quarterly goals to say, well, I want to get 100,000 subscribers, or I want to get a million views per month. But I know that these things are outside of my circle of influence, right? They're things that I can influence a little bit, but I can't control it. Whereas when we talk about the videos, it's within my full control. I just have to produce them and have to put them out to the world. So that's why, like I said, results will always follow the effort and not the other way around. Okay, so we have finished the second stage of the process, which is effort goals. And now we're going to be moving to the weekly structure, which is another important component of this whole system and framework. Okay, so why weekly structure is important? Now, first of all, I want to explain to you that the week is like a cycle. And, to represent it, think about your usual week. Usually, you wake up around the same time and you eat the same meals and you go to the same gym and you pretty much do the same things throughout the week. If you are used to sleeping on Saturdays, then that's most likely what you're going to do every Saturday or Sunday. And it's like an ongoing cycle, right? And another reason is it's easy to build the structure on existing cycles, right? Because it constantly repeats itself, like every week is the same, It's easy to build new structure into that cycle. And it also reflects your goals. Now, one thing that I do, for example, if I meet somebody new and I want to assess where they're at, I usually ask them two things. I ask them, give me two things and I'll tell you if if you're on your way on accomplishing your goals and whether you're going to be able to achieve them. So I ask two things. One, what do you want to accomplish? And two is, tell me how you spend 1 week in your life. And those two things give exact direction of where the person is going. Depending how your week looks will determine whether you're going to accomplish your goals and your vision. So let's move forward. Let's dig in deeper. So weekly structure. So this is a template. This is just an outline and it will pretty much change as the time goes on. So one thing that people usually get stuck in is they, try to create some structure and then they feel stuck. But you need to understand that the structure is there to kind of be rough around the edges, but then every week you can make adjustments and you can make it fit your needs, right? You don't have to feel caged by your structure. So let's go through it. Okay. I start my day, and I'm going to share my weekly structure. This is for the first quarter. So I start my day with a morning routine. As part of my morning routine, I run 2 kilometers. Then I take a shower. Then I eat my breakfast. I do my gratitudes and my reflections of the previous day. Okay, so that is basically how I start each day, and I usually wake up at 5 a.m. The next part of the day is creative writing. Now, I put creative writing because I'm most productive in the mornings. So my mind is completely clear. I haven't consumed any content. I don't use my phone. I don't check my emails until probably around 11ish, because I just want to keep my focus straight. Okay, so that's very, very important. And I also know that I need to take consistent breaks throughout this writing process. So that goes towards writing content for my book, and it goes towards writing content towards my videos. Okay, so the middle part of the day for me is for medium important activities. So this is where I have my cooking times. You can also see there is a shopping, gym. The green blocks are the gym. And then there are quite a bit of a buffer times in between. And we'll talk more about the buffer, in the coming slides. But it's really, really important not to overplan your week, because it's not going to make you more productive. It's going to actually abstract you from being the best you can be. Okay, and then afternoon and onwards. So I'm doing my part-time job. in Uber, and then I have a dinner, and then I try to make sure that I get 7.5 hours of sleep, because if you remember, one of my visions was to respect my sleep and get enough sleep. Okay, so another point that I want to emphasize is energy management. Now, it's not just by coincidence or whatever that I have planned my days in a certain way. It's done for the reason that I feel most productive in the first part of the day. So therefore, my most productive time blocks are in the morning, right after I wake up. So you need to understand that all hours are not the same. So if I can achieve or accomplish certain amount of work within an hour in the morning, it would probably take me 2 or 3 hours if I did it in the afternoon. And that's where energy management is really important. So you got to know, now most of the people are more productive in the mornings and less productive in evenings, but it's not for everybody. So you need to know what type of the person you are, and you can usually feel it by how you feel. Some creative people, they are really getting their spark in evenings. So maybe that's what type of the person you are. So you need to plan accordingly. And you also need to plan around your other commitments, because if you do have a job that you have to attend on specific hours, then you have to work around it. You either wake up and work on your own things before that, or you change the job and do something that has more of an involvement in afternoons. Same like I do. I'm driving Uber deliveries, and it's flexible. I can work in evenings, and it's actually even better to work in evenings because there is more demand. So plan strategically, and if you do, you're gonna be in complete control over the things in your life, because this is your life. This weekly structure is your life. It represents your life and your future, and you need to control it. Because if you don't, then you're always going to feel out of control. Okay, so now I want to show you guys how everything links together. So your weekly structure needs to represent a vision that you want to achieve. So let's go through point by point, and we will try to link together what activities in a vision I'm accomplishing through activities during my normal week. Okay, so writing a book and writing for my YouTube. So every morning you can see that I have 3 hours most productive time allocated for this activity. So that's how I want it to be. For my personal life, obviously there is nothing that needs to be included in my weekly structure, but we will see later in my weekly breakdown that there are allocated sections for it. Next one, vision for health and fitness. Obviously cooking nutritious meals. You can see, guys, 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, I cook. I batch cook my meals to save time and be productive. And I also have a shopping time block where I go to do my shopping. Okay, next, lifting weights 3 times per week. Again, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I go to the gym with my gym buddy, and we are working out. Next one, respect my sleep. Again, you will see at the bottom of the table, I have 7.5 hours of sleep. I already said that is important, and as the year is starting, I already find myself, I'll just work a little bit more here, and then you extend the evening, and then it's hard to wake up in the morning. But that's why it's in my vision, because it's important. Practice journaling and meditation, and that is a part of my morning routine. That's when I do my reflections, gratitudes, and everything else. So that is covered as well. Now, if you look at the last part, participate in Operation Christmas Child, that's going to take place in sometimes November. So there's no need to reflect it in my weekly structure in quarter 1. And book writing experience is same as in my morning time block. So as you can see, my week represents my vision, my yearly vision. And that's how it needs to be, because your everyday life or your weekly structure is what your future self is going to be. Okay, weekly breakdown. This is another section of the template. This gives you more kind of a insight to be more specific, but it also gives you overall vision. And if you remember, I said about my my personal life, my vision on personal life was to go on holiday with my wife. And you can see on a week 12, so March 21st to 27th, I'm gonna go on a weekend trip with my wife. So that is covered as well. So everything is connecting in the structure together, okay? So that you can control all the parts of your life. Okay, next stage, time blocking. So when we talk about time blocking, I'm using Google Calendar. You can use any alternative that you want. There is not any strict rules that apply. Just use whatever suits your needs. But we will talk more about time blocking. Okay, so time blocking. Time blocking builds structure of your day, of your week, and of your life. And it also protects your time. Because if somebody, sends me a message or calls me and says, hey, Janis, can we meet Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock? I can open my calendar and I can see what time block is there. And if there is something like gym, I know that I'm not available. So I can say, sorry, I'm busy at that time. How about meeting 2 hours earlier, because then I have some buffer time, or maybe a little bit later when I have a buffer time. So I can manage my time a lot better and protect my time, because it's not like somebody's trying to, steal your time. But if you are not controlling it, then everybody will just want a piece of it. And then you end up being disappointed because you're not moving closer towards your goals. So you need to protect your time, and time blocks are a great way to build structure in your life. Okay, this is my actual week, okay? I want to point out straight away, it's similar but not the same as my weekly structure, yeah? You will see I have some purple, time blocks in for client coaching calls and, different meetings and stuff. So this is all normal, and this is how it happens. And that's why I said that, when you create a structure, you don't just have to, mold it and that's it. You can't change anything. You have to be flexible, right? Productivity is being flexible. And also make sure that you keep those buffers. You'll see that I have a white slots almost every day. And you might think, well, you could do a little bit more. But I know from previous experience, which happens every week, I constantly get more things to do because I cannot predict everything that's going to happen. Some of my team will ask me to review this or help with that, or there will be a new project and I'll need to allocate some time. And if all the time is booked, then there is, I'm stuck. I'm getting overwhelmed and I start to fall behind on the things that I should accomplish. Okay, so that's how my actual weekly structure looks like with the time blocks. Okay, the most important time block, strategy. Okay, there are 168 hours in a week, and this 1 hour is the most important one from all the week. This is what you must include in your week. You have to have a time block. You don't have to call it strategy, but you must have this time block where you plan your week. Otherwise, the week will plan you. So let's dive in. Like I said, never skip the strategy time block because it is the most important one. Make sure that you approach it with a clear mind. Okay, so that's why if we looked at the previous slide, it was pretty early in a day. So I don't want to make it in afternoon when I'm kind of already exhausted, and then what good structure I'm gonna build for upcoming week if I'm kind of feeling already exhausted, right? And make adjustments if needed. Structure and building a structure is all about continuous improvements and change. So you have to be flexible going forward. So now let's take a look at my strategy. Again, I'm just sharing what I use. Your strategy can look differently, but this is the opportunity for you to assess what is happening in your life and how your past week has went and how you want your next week to look like. Okay, so I have a little report which we can go through now. So how is my performance? So I usually ask myself a question: am I following my weekly time blocks? And I do that by just going back to the previous week. I have my strategy review on Monday. So I flick one week back and I see, okay, how does my week look like? Does it look like how I set it out to be, or there was something big happening and major changes were made? And like I said, making a change is not a bad thing. If there is an opportunity, you don't have to turn it down. You can make adjustments to your week, and it's totally fine. That's the right thing to do. The next thing that I ask myself, is my energy high and focus sharp? This is where I assess how I feel when I'm working on things, because maybe I did get things done, but maybe I was really feeling like exhausted. Maybe I worked extra hours and it's time for the upcoming week to kind of pull the workload back. Okay. Or maybe I feel, on a fire and I just want to, block out more time to get more things done. It's totally depends on the situation. The next thing that I ask myself, how is my team doing? So, because like I said, I work with a team, so it's very important that I make sure that I assess how my team is doing every week. Then content production and distribution update. This is because I'm a content creator, so I need to assess my content performance on a weekly basis to see whether we are posting videos and what's happening with the content flow. And then I add some comments from myself, right? So on the top of the strategy, you will see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And this is just to give me an agenda for my strategy. So I update, usually I start with updating my journal. So I just have my notes journal where I log my activities and where I have my tasks. So I update it for the upcoming week. Then I open my weekly breakdown, which is this template document and Google Calendar. I also have a link, so I don't have to search for it. I can just click on it and access it. Then I add new week's time blocks in a Google Calendar. Then I go through my Google tasks, and we will talk about tasks in the last section. And then I send my weekly report to my coach so that I can get outside perspective. Because one of the challenges is that when you're really close in working on something, you don't really see what is happening around. And then, the coach is really a great opportunity to give you an outside view and, really challenge you like, well, are you doing your best? Is that the right thing that you want to do? So I really, really appreciate working with my coach. Okay, so how we use time blocks. Okay, so every milestone needs to have a time block. And this is on the left-hand side, we can see the breakdown for Q1. So this week, the plan was to complete this presentation that you're watching right now and also record this very video. So for the next week, which is the week you can see on the right, my goal is to write 1,000 words each morning. And you can see I have allocated time for these activities. Now, if there are other things on that list, for example, like this week, I had to allocate time for, preparing the presentation. So I would have time blocks when I want to work on it. So you got to understand if the activity takes longer, you don't have to put like answer, on this email or that email, right? You don't have to be like micro granular about that. If the activity takes 2-5 minutes, you don't have to time block it. But it's mostly you're gonna probably do your admin tasks together. So you would have a time block which says admin. So where you look after your emails and stuff like that. So it's very, very important that, again, here I want to show how things are connecting together. So every activity needs to have a time block. If you have to write a proposal, right, or a business plan, it needs to have a time block. When do you do it? Because that way you're in control and it's going to be done. But if the time block is not there, most likely something else is going to find you. Okay? Okay, time blocking summary. Number 1, don't be afraid of structure in your life. Like I said before, a lot of people are, they think they want to be spontaneous, but you can be spontaneous with having a structure in your life. Just be organized and spontaneous, right? Also, it doesn't take as much time as many people think. For me, it probably takes 7 to 10 minutes to put out the time blocks for a week. And it's really what makes my week so successful, because I spend those 10 minutes to put it all out. And obviously, if you're just starting out, you don't have to try to block out every minute of the day. Why don't you block out most important activities that you know that you have to do, and just become 40% organized. Organize 40% of your time and just stick with it. Then every week you can add 5 to 10%, and in no time you're going to be time blocking like a pro, and you'll be taking care of the things that are important for you and actually getting them done. And keep it simple. If like I said, you don't have to time block every little thing. Just bundle them together in a block. So if there is admin tasks, just put admin and then spend that time on looking through the emails or messages or whatever. Okay, so we have arrived at the final section, which is task management, which is also a very important section. So for the tasks, I use Google Tasks. Again, it's very accessible. If I'm in my documents, I can access them. If I'm on my phone, I can access them. So let's dive in. Okay, here's the structure of the system. It has 3 very simple steps, right? And if you follow these steps, you're gonna have a lot of focus and clarity, and it's really easy. It's really easy to use, right? So we've got collect, manage, and complete. And we're gonna go through these steps one by one so you understand why each step is important, okay? Okay, step number 1 is collect, right? So all the time, this is what is happening every day, every hour, probably every minute. You have an idea. You have an idea. I mean, let's say I'm writing a script. I'm writing a script and I have an idea. Now my brain will constantly want to be like thinking and like exploring opportunities. Maybe I have a business idea. Maybe something sparked in my head like, oh, why don't I create product like this or start a business like that? And that idea will try to grow on itself. So what is important that you write it down, because you want to free your mind from distractions, and your thoughts are the biggest distractions. It's not it's not social media, it's not phone, it's your thoughts is your biggest distraction. Okay, so you want to write it down, because what happens when you write it down, your brain knows like, okay, if I need that thought, I know where to find it. And for me, I like to keep it in one place, which is Google Tasks. Again, you can use any application you want, just keep it organized there. And then the final thing is, don't let it overflow. And what I mean is that, yes, you might have a lot of ideas, but not all of them you have to put down, because many of them will be like, okay, that's not the right time or whatever. But there will be some ideas that you want to write down because you think it's important at that moment. And what I mean when I say don't let it overflow is when you start to have a lot of these things and the list is growing and you're not keeping up with it, then this can pretty much destroy the whole system. So this should be a red flag for you. If there are too many, you probably have too many things going on, too many projects, too many goals set, too many responsibilities. And the way around it is that you need to assess it when you have your weekly strategy time block. When you sit down with yourself, you're like, okay, I'm gonna plan my week, I'm gonna plan my life. You need to assess and you need to make a decision, right? I need to say no to something, right? And you need to exit out of that project, and not always exit out. You can queue them, because the way I think about the projects or goals, I mean, you don't really get rid of them, or you don't really have to say no. But why don't you focus on something that you do, and then when you finish, then you do the next thing, and then you finish the next thing. So you kind of queue them up, and eventually you still get them done, but you just get them done quicker because now you're focusing all your efforts into the one place. So that's about collection step. Pretty simple, right? You have an idea, you write it down. You have an idea, you write it down. That's it. That's the step. The second step is manage. Okay? So this is the most important step, and this is really tricky one, right? Do not work on tasks when you're managing them, because it's often like, oh, this is going to be 5 minutes, so why don't I do it right now? But actually, it might take 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And this is what usually happens. Especially, usually I do this task management during my weekly review time block. And, it's 1 hour time. I have 1 hour to do all these 5 steps that I went through before, and if I will start to try to complete some tasks, it might throw me off, and it really can affect my rest of the day and my whole productivity, right? It can really throw me out of the boat. So make sure that you manage tasks and then deal with them only when you need to deal with them. Okay, so let's move on. How do we manage? Okay, so how to manage the tasks. Most of the tasks I personally delete because they're just impulses. We are ambitious human beings. We like to think of big thoughts, but when you really think about it, you realize, well, I already have my plate full. Where am I going to put that? So am I going to take on another thing with the risk that everything else that I do can go bust, right? Probably no. So it's a good thing to delete a lot of these things. When you have a really, when you think about it, no, this is not a good idea. Just take it off the list. The second thing is storing. You can keep them on a list. Now, try not to keep too many things on a list because then it will be growing, right? But for example, let's say I had an idea of the topic that I can write about for my YouTube channel. Now that's not a bad thing, and I'm not gonna delete it, but I already have like 3 weeks worth of content. So what do I do with that idea? Well, I just keep it on a list because after 3 weeks I'm gonna be able to utilize it, right? So again, nothing needs to be done. Number 3, delegation. Now I work with a team and I like to delegate. I like to trust people, and people help me to grow my business and to grow my team. So another great thing is to delegate, And then finally, if really this is something that needs to be done and you're the only person who can do it, then you schedule it and you create that little time block in your calendar. And you say, I'm going to do it on Thursday between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. and I'm going to do it. And then you're going to get it done, right? It's that simple. And the final step is execution, right? We just spoke about putting a time block and then doing it. Now do one thing at a time. Sometimes what happens. No, actually it happens quite often times. So you start doing something which seems to be like, oh, this is going to be easy. So you start with, let's say, writing a summary section or something like that. Or you're testing something. You're testing an app that your team is building, and you're like, okay, it's going to be quick. It's going to be 1 hour, right? And then you do it, and then you realize that there is actually a lot of steps, that a lot of things involved in this little task of testing. Yes, you need to send the feedback, but not only that, you also saw some metrics and some data, and now you try to connect them. So it's easy to get carried away. Again, maybe you have buffer after this time block, so you can spend extra time to maybe grind it out and get it done. But the good thing to do is, if you don't want to destroy the rest of your day's structure, is to add those additional things like, assess the data or check the analytics or whatever. Just add them back to your collect list to stay organized and to stay productive. So that is how it usually works out. And that's probably the best course of action. Okay, system summary. So we just covered a complete task management system of how you can manage your tasks. This is how I manage them. It's a very flexible system. Like I said, you can record anywhere, in any tool you want. And it only has 3 steps, so it probably doesn't get overwhelming, and it will definitely keep you organized. So you write it down. Also in terms of the management, like I said, yes, probably the best time is during your weekly strategy session with yourself to manage it. But let's say it's evening, you have completed your tasks and you have a buffer time or winding down time. You're like, well, I know I have these 5 things on my tasks list, so there's nothing wrong if you open it and be like, well, actually I can do it now. I'm gonna knock off 2 or 3 things off the list, and then I only have 2 or 3 left. So that is perfectly fine as well. Just try to do one thing at a time, and don't try to mix them up. And that is pretty much how it works. Okay, guys, that was my complete productivity framework. We did it. We went through it. I don't know how much time it took to go through it, but it felt, I having mixed feelings about how long it took. So we covered the vision, we covered effort goals, we covered the weekly structure, time blocking, and task management. And this is everything that you really need. You need that, far away goal or vision that you want to accomplish or where you want to be. Then you break it down into the, effort goals. And if you set it right, it should be pretty easy to then break it down into the weekly structure. And then, each of these milestones will have a time block. And then when you have thoughts, you can utilize the task management system. Okay, frequently asked questions. So I've done the similar presentations before, and people usually ask questions. So I wanted to use this opportunity to answer some of them before you have to write them in the comments. What if I watch this video and it's middle of the year? Should I still set 1 year vision? Now, I would personally just set my vision until end of the year, because same like week is the cycle that repeats itself. Year is also kind of in a cycle, and it's kind of deep inside our heads. So, I mean, of course you can, if you watch at the mid of the year, you can say, okay, my end of the, my vision is going to be for 1 year, so I'll finish the mid next year. But I would personally go for until end of the year and then start fresh from the whole year. So that would be my suggestion. Can I use other tools other than that was used in the video? Of course, like I mentioned a couple of times. So you can use whatever tools you want. I just want to make this framework accessible free of charge. So there's nothing that you need to use this framework. What if you have any other questions? Well, I mean, you can email me on my email, or you can leave a comment below this video, and we'll be more than happy to give my thoughts on that. Also, if you have any feedback, I'm more than happy to consume any feedback, even if it's criticism. I'm more than happy. Okay, thank you very much, guys, for watching. The next step is to download the template that we spoke about. It's in the description below. I just wanted to say thank you for everybody for watching all the way through this presentation. Obviously, time is one of our most valuable resources, and I really appreciate that you spend this time with me today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in the next videos. Bye.